they race to the line, and thanks be to Nye's magnetic charm.
Well, welcome along to this Royal Ascot preview for 2020 here on Cranji Racing TV. Very much a different scenario will be played out at the Berkshire track starting at 8:15 local time here in Singapore tonight, the first of 5 excellent days racing over at Royal Ascot. We will be taking races from Wednesday onwards on the horse racing channel, channels 88 and 89, and you can catch all the action from Wednesday going through until Saturday. 29 races coming up for your entertainment, and many top quality races throughout the course of the week as well, as is the case over at the Royal Meeting. We won't be taking racing on the first day, that being tonight, Tuesday, but from 8:15 onwards on Wednesday, you can watch all the action with us on the horse racing channel, as well as betting on the overseas racing through Singapore Pools, who have started operations once again. And from Wednesday onwards, you can indeed wager on the races at Ascot as well. So you've got every angle covered as far as Royal Ascot for 2020 is concerned. It may well be behind closed doors, but you won't miss a single thing. And here on Cranji Racing TV, I'll be bringing you my daily preview of each and every day at Royal Ascot for 2020. So much to look forward to. And it was only 12 months ago that Singapore had their very first runner at the Royal Meeting in the shape of Lim's Cruiser, trained by Stephen Gray and ridden by our multiple champion jockey, Vlad Jurek. As I say, a nice little warm-up coming up on Tuesday night in preparation for the remaining 4 days of the Royal Meeting with us here in Singapore. As far as some selections go, we start with the Buckingham Palace Stakes, our opening race of the meeting. Traditionally, it's the Queen Anne, but that race will play second fiddle this year. In the opener, I like a horse called Greenside at a bit of a price. I think he can certainly run well. He's a lightly raced horse, and he's certainly got a big race in him, I'm sure, this guy. So I thought maybe at decent odds, he was perhaps the one to side with there. In the Queen Anne, I like a horse called Muathir in this. Again, a very lightly raced. He's going to be a decent-ish price as well. You might want to work around some of the more fancied ones, but he ran a nice 5th in the QE2 last October at Ascot on Kipco Champions Day, and I think he can run well. Retained rider for Hand Dynamic Team, Jim Crowley, has chosen him to ride. Race 3 comes up at 9:25. It's the Ribblesdale Stakes for the fillies over a mile and a half. And Frankly Darling, I think, is the one to beat there. John Gosden, Frankie Dettori. Frankie's got a wonderful record in this race, and this daughter of Frankel absolutely bolted in last time. I think she can add to that tally in better grade this evening. 10 o'clock, we see the King Edward VII Stakes. Mogul will be very short, but I think he's good enough to win it. Aidan O'Brien trains him. His brother Japan won the race 12 months ago, so Mogul bidding to keep it in the family. 10:35, we'll see the speedsters in action. Batash, for me, I think is the one to beat there. He'll be, again, pretty short, but I think he's the one they've all got to get by. And if he's on his A game, he'll prove very hard to beat. Just an interesting side note in that race, Rocket Action will run in the colours of Robert Ung of the Lucky Stable, colours we see predominantly here in Singapore. He's a big price, around about 40 to 1 on the industry prices there. But he's a horse, I think, worth watching as well. Hopefully he runs well for his connections. Working to the latter part of the card, 11:10 is the Duke of Cambridge, another Group 2 for the fillies. And in this race, I like a horse called Nazif. Now, she won on the Polytrack at Kempton last time in pretty good style as well. And she looks a filly to follow for sure. And she's certainly creating a nice profile for herself going forward. And I thought she was a decent chance there, up into Group 2 grade, having won that listed race quite smartly on the artificial surface last time. And to round off the card, well, something we rarely see, in fact, we'll never see it, I don't think, here in Singapore, is a 4,000-metre race, the Ascot Stakes, the second longest race at the meeting, in fact, the third longest race at the meeting, behind the Gold Cup and the Queen Alexandra Stakes. Horse in here called Land of Oz for Sir Mark Prescott. Sir Mark doesn't make a habit of winning races at Royal Ascot, but he's an absolute past master of his profession. And I think with this horse, he's got him absolutely cherry ripe for a big run in the last there. Land of Oz, he's a son of Australia, as the name would certainly suggest. But they are my selections for the opening day of Royal Ascot. If you are following the meeting throughout the course of the week, I do hope you're very successful indeed. And remember to stay tuned to this page and bring you the preview every day, as well as the preview on the Horse Racing Channel prior to live racing coming up from Royal Ascot for 2020. You won't miss a thing. 29 races coming your way on the Singapore Horse Racing Channel, and you can wager on the races at Ascot with Singapore pools as well. So very best of luck if you are having a bet. I hope you enjoy the Royal fixture indeed. We certainly will. Plenty to look forward to this week from Royal Ascot.